नमस्कार, प्रस्तुत है अब तक के मुख्य समाचार। आज हम दूरदर्शन में बात करेंगे भारतीय जनता पॉडकास्ट के राजशेखर से।
नहीं, 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 नहीं। आज हम भारतीय जनता पॉडकास्ट में बात करेंगे दूरदर्शन के सैटिरिस्ट डॉक्टर मेडुसा से। एंड बिफोर वी स्टार्ट डॉक्टर मेडुसा, आई एक्चुअली ऑलवेज वांटेड टू काइंड ऑफ से कि व्हाट यू डू ऑन योर लिटिल क्लिप्स एंड न्यूज़ रीडिंग्स, उससे हमको दो चीजें, लाइक वी गेट टू थिंग्स। वन, वी गेट द satirized version of this strange world we are living in, but secondly also that child of 90s wala cozy feeling where you heard Salma Sultana and all those people.
Mhm, mhm.
So thank you for that, and thank you for being coming here talking to me,
Thank
and I
you
don't
so
know what
much
we
for
talk
having me here.
about.
It's actually, I have been listening to you guys. I hope we have a very good conversation because you guys always have so much fun. आज तो सिर्फ आप ही हो. I look forward to speaking to the other members of the Janta podcast as well. And thank you very much
we
once again for
we
having
shall
me.
we shall do that for sure.
Yes.
I wanted to do just you and me today because वैसे ही हम लोग पे ऐसे एक्यूजेशन होते हैं कि आप लोग एक दूसरे के ऊपर बोलते रहते हो, तो just wanted to not have that happen.
ओके। नहीं, मुझको रख लो, मैं सबके ऊपर बोला करूंगी।
मेरा ये चैनल सब्सक्राइब करें और मेरे हर अपडेट आपको मिले इसके लिए बेल आइकन जरूर दबाइएगा। आप सभी को मेरी ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं।
क्या नाम बताया?
भूपेंद्र जोगी।
यूएस में कहाँ कहाँ गए हैं आप?
यूएस में बहुत जगह गया हुआ हूँ मैं।
नाम बताइए।
भूपेंद्र जोगी।
Long years ago, we made a trip with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge.
8 नवंबर 2016 की रात्रि को 12 बजे से
चीफ मिनिस्टर के लिए मेरा एक ही संदेश है कि वो राज धर्म का पालन करें।
हार्डवेयर वालों की सोच क्या होती है, हार्ड वर्क वालों की सोच क्या होती है। अरे ये ना पंजाब की खुशबू।
दिस इज व्हाट काइंड ऑफ मेरे दिमाग में चलता रहता है कि जैसे अभी क्या हुआ। आई डोंट नो इफ आई सेंट यू दैट वीडियो, बट न्यूज लॉन्ड्री का एक क्लिप आया जिसमें दे आर गोइंग इन इंदौर टॉकिंग टू पीपल, एंड आई इंसर्ट द क्लिप इन दिस हियर एज वेल। यहाँ पे एक आंटी है, वो मतलब पूरे फुल कॉन्फिडेंस से उन्होंने बोलते हैं कि नासा में तो संस्कृत में कोडिंग होती है।
संस्कृत में कोडिंग।
ठीक है,
आने वाले समय में संस्कृत को कोडिंग लैंग्वेज बनाने वाले हैं। अभी तक नहीं बना। ये किसने बोला कि कोडिंग लैंग्वेज बनाने वाले? क्यों नहीं, कोडिंग ही है। संस्कृत तो कोड है ना। अभी जितने भी इंजीनियर्स कर रहे हैं वो संस्कृत में नहीं कर रहे हैं। सब सीखेंगे दीदी, सब एक के बाद एक सब आएंगे संस्कृत की। नासा में तो कर चुके हैं बिल्कुल। मतलब हमें बच्चों को बचपन से ऐसे सनातन धर्म की शिक्षा देनी चाहिए ताकि जो भी समस्या अभी करंट है वो ऑटोमेटिकली सॉल्व हो जाएगी। जैसे करप्शन है, अगर एक इंसान एक अच्छा बनेगा इंसान, वो ऑटोमेटिकली एक ईमानदारी का इंसान बनेगा।
how does someone pick things to talk? So like for example, when you do your Dukdarshan episodes, they're like, well, they're not long episodes, they're short, right? मुझे कभी कभी ऐसा लगता है, क्योंकि ना ये बीजे पॉड के लिए भी ना मैंने ऐसा सोचा था कि वी विल डू दिस सेगमेंट वेयर वी विल जस्ट डू headlines and punchline, basically, like headlines and like some satirical mocking, like punchline to it. But there is so much that happens कि when I started keeping a Google sheet कि क्या क्या करना है, तो हर दिन ही 18-19 चीजें हो जाती है। तो मास्टर स्ट्रोक कर जो है हमारे महा मास्टर स्ट्रोक, वो इतने मास्टर स्ट्रोक करते हैं, और फिर हमारे उनके जो चाहने वाले हैं वो भी करते रहते हैं, जैसे
हाँ।
नासा की उन्हें वो भी पिक कि भाई चल ये इस पे, लाइक ये 4 चीजें, लाइक लेट्स टॉक अबाउट दिस।
No, that's actually very true. क्योंकि it's very difficult for me to pick up something because you say ना कि हर दिन का आप रखते हो, वो वैसा मुझको भी करना पड़ता है. But then the only thing is I'm very disorganized. I don't have an idea कि Google Sheet भी बनाया जा सकता है. Right? In fact, right at this moment that I realize that maybe I can also keep a Google Sheet because मैं तो usually phone में ऐसे notes बना के लिख देती हूँ, और उसमें link वगैरह डालने का भी मतलब sometimes I put in a link, but otherwise usually I don't. I'm not very organized like that. तो होता क्या है कि मेरे लिए इजी रहता है बिकॉज़ आई फॉरगेट फॉरगेट स्टफ। सो because I usually do whenever I do Dukdarshan, that is a week ka roundup, right? A weekly roundup.
Yeah.
तो मुझे लगता है ना कि जो सबसे ज्यादा रिडिकुलस चीजें होती हैं, जो सबसे ज्यादा एकदम मास्टर स्ट्रोकी स्टफ होता है, वो दिमाग में याद रह जाता है, क्योंकि
हाँ,
ये इतनी ज्यादा, मतलब इतना ऑब्वियस और इतना, जैसे वो, देयर इज दिस लाइन, नो, दैट यू डोंट रियली हैव टू राइट सैटायर इन आवर कंट्री, यू इट जस्ट राइट्स
दैट्स
इटसेल्फ।
ऑल्सो सच अ बिग लाइक चैलेंज समटाइम्स.
यस, इट एग्जैक्टली, क्योंकि इतना रिडिकुलस ऑलरेडी हो गया होता है कि आप उसमें और क्या लिखोगे कि वो लगेगा कि आयरनी है, लगेगा सैटायर है। बिकॉज आई हैड दिस कंप्लेंट इनिशियली, सम पीपल, सम ऑफ द एल्डर जनरेशन members, they would tell me कि people would think, if somebody looks at your set up and looks at your video, because you deliver it in Hindi and because you deliver it in a very convincing old 90s style, people would actually think that something like this has happened and something like this is there. For example, I talk about the Balatkari Sangh, Balatkari organization or something. I have named something.
Yeah.
जब वो बिल्किस बानो के रेपिस्ट रिलीज
हाँ.
हुए थे ना, और उनको गार्लैंडिंग वगैरह हुआ था, तो आई हैड गिवन अ नेम फॉर दैट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, दैट दिस इज द वन व्हिच प्रताड़ित पीड़ित संघ या नहीं, प्रताड़ित पुरुष संघ या समथिंग लाइक दैट, इस तरह से। तो एंड
प्रताड़ित
दे
पुरुष संगीत है
वर
वो.
लाइक,
हाँ.
हाँ, एंड दे वर लाइक कि हो सकता है पीपल वुड एक्चुअली बिलीव दैट समथिंग लाइक दिस एग्जिस्ट्स। सो फॉर मी, पिकिंग, thankfully because of my ADHD brain, I filter out stuff which I just automatically filter out stuff because I do it in after a period of, or I look at stuff which has happened during a week. और कभी कभी वो मेन चीजें रहती नहीं है, मतलब अननेसेसरी अनइम्पोर्टेंट चीजें रहती नहीं है। लेकिन हाँ, कभी कभी ये भी होता है कि समटाइम्स आई हैव एन आफ्टर थॉट कि यार ये वाला लगाना चाहिए था, ये वाला इंफॉर्मेशन डालना चाहिए था। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इन दिस द लास्ट दूरदर्शन वीडियो
हम्म.
विच आई डिड, which was about Diwali and AQI and
हाँ,
everything,
हाँ. या.
I really
ओहो.
wanted to put in something about Nitish Kumar and what he had said in the Sadan
हाँ,
that day,
हाँ,
the
हाँ.
whole sex education
हम्म.
fiasco that happened. तो मुझे था कि मतलब मैं कुछ लाइन उसमें डालना चाहती थी about patake and explosion and stuff, and then later on I forgot about it and I did a 5-minute video but I forgot to include that, और तो after thought भी आता है। but it's I think I don't know if it's a boon or if it's a ये कि मैं एक बार शूट हो गया ना, तो उसके बाद मेरे को
तो हो गया.
बहुत आलस आता है कि दोबारा से वही कपड़ा पहनो, दोबारा से सेटअप
यार
करो,
वो
दोबारा से,
सेटअप. सो
it's so
it's so
irritating, I can't do it
it's
anymore.
some of you guys who do this, right? The effort, like the prep effort is so much na. Is it like, to be very honest, like, and we've talked
हाँ,
about this कि ना, हम लोग ये आपके फेवरेट चावड़ा जी एंड दैट चावड़ा वर्स की
please,
बात करेंगे.
oh my god, don't talk about Chavda, yaar. I will never forgive you guys for doing that, doing that. I mean, I'm
So
telling you, I told you this before
he
also.
has
I
a
was
Hindi channel
very
now
happy
also.
not knowing this person existed, not having his information in my brain. मतलब कभी कभी ऐसा होता है ना, sometimes you know when
Hmm.
you are in an argument with somebody and somebody gives you this argument and then you are like, how
Um,
is this even an argument? How do you think, like, what has conspired in this world? What decisions have you led in your life that have led to this moment where you think that this argument is sane, or this argument is a logical argument to be given in this situation? और आप उतना सोच सोच के इतना flabbergasted होते हो ना कि that you can't give anything back, you can't answer anything back. It's like that with Chavda, that I'm looking at his videos and like, what? What makes you think this is okay to say something like that, or it's even correct, or even, or sometimes when you like, you I think you write
hmm.
about this in your article as well, when you say his claims go unchallenged. Like,
हाँ.
exactly, I think many of the time his claims go unchallenged because सामने वाला ऐसे ही हतप्रभ है कि तूने क्या सोचा कि तुझको लगा कि ये आर्ग्यूमेंट वैलिड आर्ग्यूमेंट है।
अरे
एंड
लेकिन वो भी है ना कि अगर सामने वाला इज लाइक समवन लाइक अ बियर बाइसेप्स हुज
अलाहाबादिया।
क्लेम इज, हाँ वो इलाहाबादिया, प्रयागराजिया, whoever, पर उसका क्लेम ही है कि उसका दिमाग इज ओपन, ओपन इन द सेंस कि खाली. So he will not, never counter questions anything.
yeah,
अभी
yeah.
and
No,
sometimes na,
you were sorry, I
hmm, hmm.
interjected. You were talking about how the prep time before the
ओ
prep
हाँ,
time is a
यही
lot.
होता है.
Yeah, yeah.
और
Please
इसीलिए वो,
complete the question. Sorry.
इसीलिए आज मैंने डिसाइड किया कि हम लोग 3 और 1 नहीं करेंगे, यानी 4 लोग ना होके 1 on 1 करेंगे, बिकॉज़
हाँ,
दिस इज
अच्छा
व्हाट
किया।
हैपेंस. दिस इज
हाँ,
व्हाट
बिकॉज़ मैं वैसे भी ADHD वाली, मेरे
हैपेंस.
मल्टीपल पर्सनालिटीज है, तो मेरे लिए उतने काफी है। सारे लोग आ जाएंगे, टेंशन मत लो तुम।
तो देयर इज अ सिग्निफिकेंट अमाउंट ऑफ प्रेप टाइम.
हम्म,
हाँ, And what I feel is कि it is important because doing this I have realized कि ये podcast कैसा भी हो, unless you're on video and unless you're talking and unless it's short and crisp, आज के like there is not that kind of reach. That's why
Audience
I'm already sorry,
retention.
but I'm sorry that I'm saying this, but like Chavda has learned that too. I don't know from who, but now he does Hindi videos, short. He
Mm,
puts clips
mm.
and stuff. So my what I was saying is कि how does that prep kind of go? Because ऐसा वो नहीं आता कि कंटाल नहीं आता जैसे कहते हैं कि have to like dress up and then
Yeah.
do this in हाँ?
बहुत
Like,
ज्यादा,
तो
there's a
शुरू में कैसे सोचा like first time कि ये करते हैं अपन?
Oh, first time was
Hmm.
my first time was it's very interesting because
Hmm.
I was doing Dugdarshan. I remember there was this um, one judgment by a court where they were talking about Manusmriti, and
Hmm.
there was this woman judge, and the justice was talking about how Manusmriti is very empowering to women and how it talks about like some bullshit. Okay, and
Hmm.
I was like, what? And again, it's the same thing, like the argument or the sentence or whatever you are saying is so ridiculous that you have to stop for a moment and think कि ये वाकई में this is not satire, this is not comedy, or this is not irony in which you are talking about. Like literally imagine Manusmriti and you are talking about Manusmriti empowering women. Like, excuse me, what? And then I was like, okay, fine, i
हाँ.
have i have to do something. And then the reaction which came out of it was, it's like was a satire. I have to do write something satire, I have to write something, and I had to do something in a very deadpan voice, because usually judgments etc are delivered in very deadpan stuff, right? So I did that video. It did not, as in I have a very small audience
Hmm.
on Instagram, and I was majorly on Instagram at that point of time.
अच्छा.
um
Okay.
हाँ, इंस्टाग्राम में मेरे इनफैक्ट आई हैड लाइक 900 और 600 900 फॉलोअर्स ऑन
Hmm.
ट्विटर, एंड ट्विटर पे मैं वीडियो अपलोड करती थी बिकॉज आई हैव हैड 2 स्ट्राइक्स अगेंस्ट माय कंटेंट ऑन इंस्टाग्राम, बिकॉज एक बार कभी राइट विंग इकोसिस्टम में पहुंच गया था, तो उन्होंने बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्राइक वगैरह मारे थे, तो आई हैड सम कंटेंट टेकन डाउन।
Hmm.
एंड देन उसके बाद मुझे था कि नहीं, चलो ट्विटर पे अपलोड करके रख देते, सो दैट एटलीस्ट देयर इज लाइक अ रिकॉर्ड ऑफ स्टफ, एंड यूट्यूब पे भी। एंड माय डैड इज ऑलवेज लाइक, नहीं नहीं आप तुम वो करके रखो, अपलोड करके रखो, सो दैट यू डोंट लूज योर स्टफ। एंड मेरा
Hmm.
क्या ना, कभी कभी होता है ना कुछ लोग, जैसे देयर आर सम पीपल जिनको ईमेल में अगर वन का नोटिफिकेशन आता है दे गो क्रेजी कि कहाँ है वो, एक ईमेल कहाँ है। आई एम वन ऑफ दोज पीपल, आई डू नॉट लाइक दिस काइंड ऑफ लाइक chaos in my phone. So
Hmm.
even if I've recorded something right just now, and if I've uploaded it, it's immediately gone from my phone. It's no longer there anywhere on my phone. I need to keep my phone empty, and there has to be like photographs etc are there, but these videos etc, videos वगैरह लंबे हो जाते हैं, space लेते हैं, so I don't know, something is in my brain, तो इसलिए मैं डिलीट कर देती हूँ। तो मेरा था कि यूट्यूब पे भी अपलोड कर दो, इंस्टा पे भी अपलोड कर दो। सो दैट वाज माय फर्स्ट वीडियो व्हिच वेंट एज दूरदर्शन, नॉट इवन एज दुखदर्शन, बिकॉज लाइक कि नहीं ठीक है, दूरदर्शन या पुरानी स्टाइल का करते हैं। somebody on YouTube commented, मैडम आपने तो दूरदर्शन में दुख दर्शन दिखा दिए, दुख दर्शन करा
Ah.
दिए। I'm like, okay, it's nice, this is nice, Dukdarshan is a nice name, I think I'll go with Dukdarshan then. So I thanked that person. I'm like, fine, I'm taking this name, it's mine now. So I started doing Duk Darshan. And after, in fact, this very first video itself, I had to go for an operation. I had some issues
Hmm.
and I had to go for a major operation. और ऑपरेशन के टाइम के बाद आई वाज लाइक सेड कि नहीं, आपको बेड से उठना नहीं है, ज्यादा मूवमेंट नहीं करना है, ज्यादा ओवर एनर्जेटिक स्टफ नहीं करना है, so on and so forth. So I was like, ठीक है, this is the only segment where I am like low energy. I don't move around or I don't emphasize a lot of ये on screen. तो यही वाला करते हैं. So I was sitting at home actually when my first Dukdarshan went viral, which was I think my second Dukdarshan. And it
Uh-huh.
went viral, and it was picked up, like it was seen by a lot of people, and then it was appreciated by a lot of people, and the major people, like the people who follow me, like I'm proud of these people who
Hmm.
follow me because I have followed them for like my entire life. Ow, nahi karo. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
my dog is trying to play with
Uh-huh.
me. Anyway, so they started following me from that video, and that video happened because I had to do something low energy, and I did something low energy. It was September ke first week mein tha, I think Bharat Joro Yatra had started, and I was like, this is something big which is happening. Because even then, and even now also, like, it's not, Congress is not really a very strong um, contender or even a strong alternative when it comes to ideology, right? तो
I
इसीलिए
have an
उस टाइम पे
idea.
था कि नहीं, चलो कम कुछ अच्छा हो रहा है, कुछ चेंज हो रहा है, तो
Hmm.
इस पे कुछ करते हैं. So I did something which covered Bharat Jodo Yatra and which covered Rahul Gandhi's change at that point of time, which was picked up by a lot of people. और तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा था. So and
हाँ
that
निधि,
is how I started working on Twitter, but my main original audience was on Instagram, and then Twitter happened just organically, just by fluke.
these things happen hit on Twitter because Insta is a different world. Like
It's a
like
different
I
world.
have
Yes,
noticed.
ये वो समझ आ गया है.
जब मैं इनिशियली वो बोल रहा था ना कि कैसे लाइक सो वी स्टार्टेड इन 2019. ठीक
Hmm.
है, 2019 में लाइक दो चीजें ना मेरे को ऐसे दिमाग में अभी भी इतना ज्यादा लाइक देयर आर सो द आर्टिकल 370 थिंग हैपेंड इन 2019,
Hmm.
राइट? द वीक आफ्टर दैट हैपेंड, and I'm just trying to kind of jog your memory because
Hmm.
what I'm trying to talk about is कि कैसे करे satire इस देश में, हाँ.
Hmm. Hmm.
तो the week after Z News did a sec program where उन्होंने ऑडियंस को बोला, अभी बोलने में मेरे को पता नहीं कैसे लग रहा है, आर्टिकल 370 की एक वीक बाद उन्होंने ऑडियंस को बोला कि
I know what you're going to say, but go on.
कि कश्मीर से रिलेटेड अपने फेवरेट गाने और मेमोरीज भेजिए, लेट्स. सो उन्होंने एक एपिसोड किया जिस पे जी न्यूज़ ऑडियंस टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस इज लाइक आर्टिकल 378, एंड आई वाज सिटिंग देयर एंड आई वाज लाइक तो
Yeah.
फिर कोई भी क्या कर सकता है इस लाइक
Mhm.
ऑरवेल भी नहीं लिख सकता ये तो,
नहीं नहीं
ठीक
नहीं,
है.
को वो भी नहीं लिख सकते.
और उसी
वो भी नहीं
साल
लिख सकते.
अराउंड दैट टाइम वाज द फर्स्ट एवर वंदे भारत.
Oh, was
आई थिंक
it?
फर्स्ट,
I don't remember. Oh,
आई थिंक
okay.
इट वाज द फर्स्ट वंदे भारत,
Mhm.
फर्स्ट लाइक सबसे पहला. एंड द फर्स्ट वंदे भारत सुन, इसीलिए मैं फर्स्ट वंदे भारत ऑन इट्स डे वन first trip hit a cow and was had to be stopped. So now how do you make a joke out of this? How do you make a joke of these things? So that's why I'm saying it's so tough in this kind of environment to कुछ भी करना ऐसा.
हाँ,
तो
हाँ.
इसीलिए it's good that you don't do Google Sheets because now what my mistake is or our mistake in this case has been doing Google Sheets and then getting bogged down in कि इतना सब कुछ हो रहा है.
हाँ, हाँ, हाँ. Hmm. I get it.
नासा.
No, it just because you
हम्म,
mentioned
हम्म,
Kashmir and mentioned
हम्म,
370, one of the things which I remember it very
हम्म,
clearly from that point of time was somebody doing a वो जो रोड वाले इंटरव्यू नहीं है कि कश्मीर में 370 हट गया
हाँ,
है तो क्या है क्या नहीं है,
हाँ,
and so on and so forth. And then clearly remember this lanky guy. Like,
हम्म,
again, I'm not
हम्म,
commenting on his looks or anything, and he was
हम्म.
like, अब हम कश्मीर की लड़कियों से शादी कर
Oh, oh
सकेंगे,
yeah,
कश्मीर
I
में
do.
जमीन खरीद सकेंगे.
हम्म,
And he said it in so much seriousness. And I remember I have like ये हमारे ग्रुप में हमारे
हम्म,
मतलब व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में शेयर हुआ
हम्म,
था. And there were Kashmiri Kashmiri women in that group, and like इससे कौन शादी करेगा यार. But I'm like, again, I'm not comment,
uh-huh,
there's no comment on how the guy looks, but the idea that this is that article 370 was what was stopping you from getting married to a Kashmiri woman or buying zameen in Kashmir, and not how you are, what you are, or what your economic status is. None of that matters, but it's the article 370 which has now empowered you to do something like this. So वो exactly what you say कि कैसे लिखे इंसान, कैसे लिखे यहाँ पे सटायर, कौन लिखेगा यहाँ सटायर, बन रहा
the
है, लोग
whole
लिख रहे हैं.
whole of this. So इससे related दूसरी चीज which I'm sure you clearly remember.
हाँ,
There is a साध्वी जिनका नाम मुझे भी याद नहीं आ रहा है.
आस्था.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, यूपी की एक साध्वी है. मैंने उनको पर न्यूज लॉन्ड्री में कुछ लिखा भी है. मैं आई लिंक प्रॉपर्ली आफ्टर इट, बट मे बी इससे याद है. उन्होंने एक स्टेटमेंट दिया था कि Muslim men are like very well trained in the art of making love, and
Oh, they're
that's
very
why they are.
virile. I think
हाँ
Pragya is in the
नहीं, प्रज्ञा
Sadhvi
नहीं थी
Pragya.
वो,
No,
अभी
but I
एमपी नहीं
clearly
बनी है.
remember this statement there. I
नहीं
thought
थी.
it
हाँ,
was
स्टेटमेंट
very
तो so this is on the same kind of spectrum, right? Of
हाँ.
क्या नाम है, हाँ, मैं भेजूंगा. आई कैन नॉट रिमेम्बर द नेम ऑफ द लेडी, बट सो मेरा पूरा ये थियरी ये है कि ये जो पूरा मूवमेंट है, इट hinges on this sense of inferiority complex,
Mhm.
uh, which has seeped into the the some of these conservative women who support this movement as well. But
चेतना,
largely it is
स्वामी
about
चेतना,
हाँ हाँ तो
also known as माँ चेतनानंद सरस्वती.
हाँ माँ यस यस सो और उसमें उन्होंने इफ यू गो डीप इनटू दैट थिंग दैट शी सेड, शी आल्सो सेड कि क्योंकि मुस्लिम लड़के पुअर होते हैं, बोल दिया मतलब बोलते हैं, मुस्लिम लड़के पुअर होते हैं
Okay.
तो उनके पास कुछ मतलब दे आर नॉट बॉक लाइक दे डोंट हैव टू वरी अबाउट 9 to 5 or whatever, so they can
Mm.
spend a lot of time learning these things. So basically like
Oh God. Oh
so
God.
so
This
hmm,
also connects to this to the whole Hindutva not ideology, but
hmm.
the imagery that they create of this macho,
Huh,
even
huh,
with everything, with all their with all the father figures and all the authority figures that they have, even Modi ji, like 56 inch ka seena, that's a macho image that you are
huh.
trying to project, right? And even the so called the gods which we have known, we have grown up seeing as very soumya and as very forgiving and as very welcoming into their folds, they are suddenly rudra roop of you only see the rudra roop of these beautiful gods which we have grown up with, right? All of this is from that macho, that inferiority complex कि नहीं, हम लोगों ने जिंदगी भर हमारा इस तरीके से शोषण हुआ है, अब हम राज करेंगे, अब हम माचो बनेंगे. तो वही वाली चीज है.
एंग्री हनुमान राइट.
एंग्री हनुमान या रुद्र
एंग्री
हनुमान.
हनुमान, एंग्री हनुमान मैंने तो 2013 से ही देखना शुरू किया है, राइट
हम्म.
राइट बिफोर दैट कैंपेन. और ग्रोइंग अप आई ग्रो अप इन एमपी, तो ग्रोइंग अप इन एमपी ना अ लॉट ऑफ दीज थिंग्स आई हैव हर्ड बिफोर एज वेल, जैसे कि वो कि हमारी जो इंडिपेंडेंस इट्स फॉर 99 ईयर्स ओनली, एंड एंड इफ द यूके पार्लियामेंट अगर कोई कुछ लेजिस्लेट जो भी द वे दे टॉक अबाउट इट पास करता है, विच देन आई वाज सरप्राइज कि 2016-17 में सम बीजेपी युवा मोर्चा लीडर
या दिस
ऑन
वुमन
लल्लन
उसका
टॉप
फोटो
सेड दिस, राइट.
वो मीम मटेरियल है उसका फोटोग्राफ.
लगता है हमें मीम मटेरियल है, बट यहीं से मैं बोल रहा हूँ. सो you and I think that it is meme material,
या.
but the consumption of such things is, I mean, I'm just saying, like
It's
it's many
rampant,
many
it's
more
like
times
ridiculous.
of
It,
anyone
you,
who's listening
हाँ,
to you or me.
you are क्या कहते हैं punch, या कहते हैं rolling your not rolling your punches, what is it
Yeah.
called, pulling your punches. It's an
हाँ.
epidemic, the consumption of this stuff.
और अगर चावड़ा फेमस है, या अगर any of these guys, the guy, I mean, JSI for example, like
अभी ये
uh,
न्यू ऑल्सो यार, अभी ये न्यू दे स्टार्ट एज लाइक वो जो गेटवे ड्रग नहीं होता.
Hmm.
गेटवे.
Ha, exactly, exactly. They are basically on a surface they're very like they seem apolitical, because I have had people reach out to me and say कि नहीं अभी ये new तो they don't talk about politics as such, but the way they present, and some of these times मुझे तो just Chavda is a different case, but अभी ये new के case में I don't even know how politically like engaged they are in their own lives, but हमारे आसपास प्रोपेगेंडा इस तरीके से है कि it just becomes one. My point, but the thing that I wanted to kind of go on is कि हम लोग कैसे बने चापड़ा, क्या क्या how do we get that level of audience यार, क्या करना पड़ेगा?
लेवल ऑफ ऑडियंस और लेवल ऑफ ऑडेसिटी, व्हाट डिड यू से?
Audacity, audience बोला, audacity तो शर्म, actually yeah, शर्म is a big factor, right?
अच्छा.
It comes in the way, right? But
हाँ, नहीं, अगर वही ना, ऑडियंस का
Mhm.
क्या है ना, हम लोग को उस तरीके की ऑडियंस मिल नहीं सकती है, क्योंकि हम लोग उस तरीके का मतलब उस वो नंबर, बिकॉज उस नंबर के पीछे जाने के लिए आपको वही करना पड़ेगा जो ये लोग कर रहे हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल शॉर्ट्स का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, मुझे लगता है,
Mhm.
मैंने ये चीज थोड़ा सा समझी है पिछले
Mhm.
जितने दिनों से मैं क्रिएट करने की, मतलब जितने दिनों से मैं वीडियोस बना रही हूँ. बिकॉज आई डोंट नो हाउ टू, I have not created shorts for the sake of leading my audience or leading whoever is engaging with me to the bigger video. मेरा पर्पस रहता है कि जो शॉर्ट है उसमें तुमको वही उतना इंफॉर्मेशन मिल जाए जितना मैं कह रही हूँ. सो यूजुअली इनिशियली व्हेन इंस्टाग्राम रील्स यूज्ड टू बी फॉर 30 seconds, तो 30 seconds में जब हम बात बनाते थे तो
Mhm.
वही चीज यूट्यूब शॉर्ट्स पे मैं डाल देती थी. ठीक है. now I don't make reels for or I don't make short videos, or I don't क्योंकि 90 seconds का वैसे भी हो गया है, 90 सेकंड्स तक मेरी बातें चली ही जाती है, यूजुअली 90 सेकंड्स के ऊपर ही हो जाता है, सो रील्स
हम्म
बहुत कम ही बनते हैं मेरे अभी इस वक्त, राइट? सो बट आई हैव सीन दैट दिस क्लिक बेटी थिंग, जो पहले आप सिर्फ टाइटल के साथ करते थे, आप वही क्लिक बेटी स्टफ अब आप अपने उसके साथ करते हो, शॉर्ट्स के साथ करते हो. You
हम्म
either say something which is extremely overtly controversial, you either say something which appeals to this insecurity of the majority which is there, जो इनसिक्योरिटी है कि हम हिंदू है लेकिन फिर भी हम सेकंड क्लास सिटीजन हैं, और या फिर हम आदमी हैं, मर्द हैं, फिर भी हमारे साथ बुरा होता है, मेन आर द रियल द रियल
विक्टिम
बेस्ट, द रियल विक्टिम्स. हाँ, तो
MRA.
ये इस कॉम्प्लेक्स को, हाँ, इस
Have you?
कॉम्प्लेक्स को जब आप अपील करते हो, when you are appealing to this complex, then of course the person is going to, of course somebody who is feeling this kind of an inferiority, they are going to engage with that content, and the moment they want to engage with the content, they want more validation of how they are feeling themselves. अगर उनको लग रहा है कि देखो मैं तो मर्द हूँ लेकिन फिर भी मेरे साथ ऐसा बुरा होता है, लड़कियां तो सिर्फ पैसे के लिए रहती है, लड़कियां तो सिर्फ पैसे के पीछे भागती है, हमारे साथ कोई नहीं, हम गरीब है, हम बेरोजगार है, इसलिए हमारी कोई गर्लफ्रेंड नहीं है, हमारा कोई रिलेशनशिप नहीं है, हमारे रिलेशनशिप टूट जाते हैं, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा, एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, बिकॉज दैट पर्सन इज फीलिंग दैट ही वांट्स दैट वैलिडेशन, राइट? तो इसीलिए वो जाके लंबी वाली वीडियो भी देखेगा, भले ही लंबी वाली वीडियो में आप वही चीज कह रहे हो, रेपिटेशन के साथ कह रहे हो, जार्गन के साथ कह रहे हो, सेम चीज
Hmm.
दोहरा रहे हो. So obviously they're gonna, Jay Sai Deepak is very intelligent as far as this is concerned, because he knows what is the insecurity of the average Hindu in the country. So he uses that. हम लोग में वो audacity, वो शर्म नहीं,
हाँ,
वो
we'll go
ये
to
शर्म
JSI
नहीं है.
Deepak. We'll go to JSI Deepak. But
हाँ.
you've mentioned something that I have kind of मैंने सोचा है बहुत इस बारे में. And I completely agree with you on
हम्म.
everything. And this applies to men definitely, right?
हम्म.
There is a sense of, especially India is a very interesting country. हम लोग इतना बड़ा, like we are such a big country that we grow up very, even if we grow up in a global world, we are very insulated. We have our film industry is huge, television is
Yeah.
big, we have a lot of pop culture to do, and all of it is geared to us. So we don't really go outside for a lot. I mean, abhi ka nahi bola. So so you grow up as, let's say, a kid who was born in MP, boy, hearing stories of the greatness of our country, the greatness of our kings and whatever, right? And then in the real world, sometimes you feel that you are not respected as much, or the country is not as respected as much, and maybe there's a like a lash out reaction, which and then you see a lot of problems, you see poverty and all. और मैं खुद को तो ब्लेम नहीं कर सकता, मैं अपने बाप को भी ब्लेम नहीं कर सकता, अपने लाइन को भी ब्लेम नहीं कर सकता, तो कोई अदर ढूंढता हूँ और उसको ब्लेम करना शुरू करता हूँ. In this case maybe Muslims, or oppressed classes, castes, whatever. But what about women? My why because in most cases, the way I see it, in any conservative movement, any religio-conservative movement, it's the women who get the most um, like oppression.
Bad end is the sticky end of the
हाँ
stick.
हाँ, sticky end of the stick. तो लेकिन अभी तो ऐसा लगता है, especially in the last few years, it seems like there are so many more women who talk this language and who do you have you thought about this? Why, like,
Oh,
forget men for a minute.
100%. I get disappointed every single day, every single time when I see something like this. Do you remember this video by Sonali Kulkarni? It was
Oh,
very viral. It was very viral about how women are lazy and how women don't work anymore, and they want a six-figure salary wala banda, and they don't want to work and shit. And then वो सब है. You, since you have introduced me to Abhijit Chavda, I will today introduce you to somebody who is equally toxic. Equally, yeah. Maybe you already know that person. It's a person called Equalist Astha. Okay. And Equalist Asta was the first person I came across when I started my when I started doing videos, because I was looking at how women of my age or other women are making content, and how what other women are talking about, because I wanted to be, touch base on before I start, because I was very specifically doing political stuff, and I am of the firm belief that the personal is political, and so whatever I am feeling as a woman also has to be in the political sphere, or that is also something political if I decide, if I choose to talk about. So I was looking at feminist content, and I was looking ये तो बहुत अच्छे लोग भी मिले, बहुत अच्छे accounts भी मिले, and then I come across this person, okay, and then I think one of the first things that she talks about is how Dahej and Dahej is, if Dahej is not okay, then alimony is also not okay, okay, and I was like, what? Like what alimony and Dahej is not okay, so alimony is also not okay, but if you are asking for alimony, then you have to give Dahej. Like, where is this coming from? Like, what kind of logic has led you to believe that something which has led to the deaths of thousands of women over history, you just have to look at any year for a dowry death, like it's so bad that there is a law against it in the country, and you are choosing to equate it with alimony. It's the same for you, and I was so flabbergasted. I was like, so this exists, and then I had to go through a lot of her stuff, and I looked at a lot of her stuff, and I had to block her, because like, because मेरे mental health के लिए ये जरूरी हो गया था कि मैं वो ना देखूं, ठीक है, because like I was getting so worked up and so angry, and then my husband is like, what is going on, what is happening, तुम इतना गुस्से में क्यों रहती हो आजकल, you should not look at the phone anymore, and बहुत सारे issues हो गए थे, so I was like, no, this I can't. So the thing that you are talking about as women who are doing this, so I think there is a term for this. This is called pick me. Pick me. It's a
हाँ मैंने सुना है,
so
but
the
isn't it
thing
more
is,
new?
so
Like,
the patriarchy is, it's not just a women, it's not just a men problem, it's not just a women problem, it's a problem for all of us. Patriarchy is, it harms everyone, right? तो उसमें कुछ चीजें ऐसे ना, स्टेटस quo मेंटेन हो जाता है, ठीक है, स्टेटस quo है, और उस स्टेटस quo में women are given a particular circle of power, a particular niche where you can exert that power, all right, and I think that this idea that femininity is a different kind of power, and femininity is something which makes you beautiful and it makes you powerful at the same time, it's your beauty that makes you powerful, and these ideas are so ingrained so ingrained in us, all of us. I have had to work through the internalized misogyny and the internalized patriarchy that I've had. I am still working through. बहुत कई cases में मेरे मुंह से भी निकल जाती है कुछ ऐसी चीजें, और sometimes even I think in certain lines, जब मुझको अपने आप को correct करना पड़ता है कि no, why exactly, why is this, where is this thought coming from? So I have had to do this. A constant unlearning experience has happened for me personally, and I don't think that that has happened for a lot of people, and because of that reason, and when the opposite gender, who also is being exposed to these ideas that this is where the power of women lie, that this is a feminine woman, or a woman who understands her responsibilities or gender roles, or or performs these gender roles is better. uh, so the man who is asking for such kind of a woman, and the woman who thinks that, okay, I am able to exert my power in these circles, and here my power is maximum, in other circles I have to struggle for that power, I have to ask for that power, I don't want that kind of confrontation, so I'm fine over here. So that kind of, and they have to back up their decision with the words that they choose, with the actions that they do. They have to back up their decision to stay within those circles which have been decided by patriarchy, right? So I think that is one of the reasons. So internalized misogyny and internalized patriarchy and these ideas that the gender roles, the ideas of gender roles, that this is where you need to yeah, because after all, it's a power struggle, right? You try and see where exactly, or which are the circles you can exert the most amount of power, and if you are comfortable in a particular circle and you want to be in that circle, you will defend that circle, right? So I think that's the reason why several women are, and especially आजकल वो मुखर होके ज्यादा I can switch to Hindi, right?
अरे
Sometimes
हाँ 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 एकदम,
so
हाँ
sometimes
मुखर
वो
हो
मुखर
गया
होके
एकदम.
इसलिए आ भी पाती है, because right now linguistically, language wise and communication wise, women are becoming stronger and become more avenues are open for them. बोल पा रही हैं. So because of that reason, I think they're using these profiles and these yeah, platforms to assert that. In fact, I have seen one video which was very, I saved it. I saved it for because I wanted to make a remix on that. उसमें ये था कि men don't like women who are too loud, right? So this is that is how, and it's a dating coach giving advice on how women can attract other men, how they can attract alpha men, how they can attract providers and protectors, and so on and so forth. So even the language which they use, the providers and protectors and nurturers, etc., it tells you where they are placing their own power and where they are placing the power of the other
In your experience, are you noticing this a lot? Some of the way nurturing feminine, you know, are you noticing these description of women more
men.
recently in the last 2 3 years, or have you noticed this in the past? The reason I'm asking you this is because
Mhm,
as you're talking now, so आई एम बेसिकली सीइंग कि इसका एक मिरर हुआ है यूएस में,
mhm,
एंड दिस एटलीस्ट फ्रॉम 2016 आई हैव नोटिस्ड,
mhm.
सुना होगा ये टर्म ट्रैड वाइफ, आई डोंट नो इफ यू
Yeah,
हर्ड
yeah,
दिस
yeah, yeah. Of
टर्म.
course, of course.
सो हाँ, तो ट्रैड वाइफ पहले मैंने यहाँ यूएस में सुना था, एंड फिर so do you think that in a strange way two things, one, as you mentioned, that, well, the world is getting more equal whether
Mm,
someone likes it or not, so
yes.
women are getting more opportunity, which also means women are conservative women are getting more opportunity. And the second is the world is being more globalized, so the right wing conservative ideas are kind of sponging into other geographies, because a
Mhm,
lot of the times, and this is again not in this subject but also बाकी में भी, मैं इतना ज्यादा अमेरिकन कंजर्वेटिव लैंग्वेज यहाँ पे यूज होते देख रहा हूँ ना इंडिया में.
mm.
So, like, is it a recent phenomena? Uh,
देखो मुझे
because
लगता है the visibility has
Mhm.
definitely increased because of social media and because of TikTok and because of these short videos where people can say whatever they like, they can rant whatever they however they want to, and in these very crisp sentences, because even if you look at the sentence structures of these videos, no, the sentence structure and the transitioning and the way you can keep a person hooked to what you are saying. Because जब मैं Instagram का अपना
Mhm.
वो शुरू कर रही थी, then there was a lot of Instagram coaches on how to keep people watching your reel. So there would be transitions and so on and so forth. So
Mhm.
इस तरीके का इस्तेमाल because of, I think the visibility has definitely increased, and I'm sure the ideas or the bubbling तो पहले से हमेशा से it must have been there, and that's why they are being visible now. But also one of the things which I think has led to this is uh, like everything else in
Mhm.
social media as well, and in specifically in this field as well, the idea of the alpha male or the sigma male or the beta male, etc., the videos which have talked about masculinity, etc., have skyrocketed, and the number of things, like the popularity of this freaking guy called Andrew Tate, and even after being like convicted of trafficking, like
Yeah.
even after that, like somebody like him being so popular, Jordan Peterson being so popular, and Joe Rogan, guys like Joe Rogan and these guys being so popular, and you know what happens is, like they say these I think it comes from the fact that, like you said, the world is
Mhm.
becoming equal. Women have started taking agency. They have started taking agency over their own bodies, over their own lives, over their own circles, what they do in their homes, what they do with their free time, what they do with their books, etc. Everything they have started to take agency. And when that happens, the traditional the traditional relationship or the traditional gender roles are challenged continuously. And when that happens, masculinity gets challenged. And when that happens, these guys who are suddenly being challenged, whose role as the provider and protector, etc., are being challenged, whose role is are whatever is being
हाँ हाँ
challenged,
ठीक है. हाँ.
they start making these videos. And when they start making these videos, they have to be supported by the other women who also are being challenged by these new women who are not fitting into the or not happy with the traditional gender roles, because that is also making them question their own life choices, right? So in order to defend my own life choices, I have to say that my life choices are correct and yours are wrong. And that is what is, and again, because of social media and because of the rise of reels and TikTok and these short format videos, this has become extremely popular. And I think we have just started to notice it. We have started to notice it now. Because I think 2016 was the time when actually reels etc had started coming in, isn't it? उसी टाइम पे तो आना
हाँ
शुरू हुए थे 16-17 में. उससे
आई सो
पहले तो थे भी नहीं.
ऑन दिस सब्जेक्ट पता आई कीप थिंकिंग वन थिंग कि ना जैसे इनिशियली वी सेट ना कि women do end up getting the sticky end of the stick.
हम्म. हम्म.
That's a very sticky end of this. Anyway, तो
Yeah.
तो ना मैं सोचता रहता हूँ जैसे डिमोनेटाइजेशन हुआ
हम्म.
ना वन ऑफ द थिंग्स जो डिमोनेटाइजेशन के साथ हो जिसके बारे में न्यूज़ भी था कि a lot of women had their own savings in form of cash
Yes.
that
Yes.
they had kept apart for and they had to give it up, right? उसके बाद uh, the way COVID happened,
हम्म.
again, COVID happened everywhere. But what happens is when such restrictions are placed, women are again disproportionately.
हम्म.
You have to take care of like in a traditional like Indian household, right? So I keep thinking, there will be some kind of ऐसा फटेगा कुछ कि नहीं like a group of women will just be angry. Something that I'm
हो गया,
noticing
इनफ.
in
बहुत
हाँ
हो गया.
इनफ हो गया जैसे अभी क्या हुआ फॉरगेट एवरी लाइक ग्लोबल थिंग बट यूएस में डॉब्स के बाद a lot of traditionally suburban women who used to vote for Republicans are also now switching,
हम्म.
and since then a lot of elections Democrats are making a lot of gains simply it seems because of the abortion laws. So you see that shift,
हम्म.
however much small here, but India में तो I do not feel that happening. Maybe I'm too far from the action, but कब होगा? कब खोलेगा खून?
नहीं,
Is
हाँ,
something that
वही
I think
वाला
about.
सीन है. तुम्हारा जो you're saying you're too far from it. I stay here and I'm too
Mhm,
cynical about it. I don't think even I don't see any major change anything happening क्योंकि क्या है ना कि हमारे यहाँ एक तो शॉर्ट टर्म मेमोरी इतनी ज्यादा है और दूसरा this idea of the good Indian wife it's
mhm.
is so ingrained not just in our men's brains but in our women's brains also that even if I have seen fiery feminists who were once my friends and colleagues in university turn into these, you know, not
Nice Indian
yeah,
wives.
these yes, yeah, these nice Indian women, ठीक है? Nice Indian wives, good Indian wives,
Yeah.
okay. So I have seen that transformation happening. So मेरे को तो लगता ही नहीं है कि ऐसा कुछ होने वाला है या फिर ऐसा कुछ होगा भी. But it's I don't know. I don't know. This is the conversation is turning out to be very cynical and it's making me sad. It's making me sad now.
So
But
okay, no, no.
yeah, there are people who are still raising their voices. Also, क्या है ना कि because I have seen a number of in these circles. Disillusionment बहुत ज़्यादा जल्दी मुझको हो जाता है because sometimes what happens is these very very powerful women, these very very overtly and vocally feminist women, sometimes they say things and sometimes they do things when it actually comes to being a part of a movement that it really disappoints you. For example, when the Me Too movement started in India, there were a number of vocal feminist women who were against the Me Too movement, and they were talking about how it's not how it takes away from the entire struggle. Like I'm sure they have their own reasons and their logic about it, or yay, but I thought it was like a betrayal of the women who had come out at that point of time and
they,
talked about their struggles and their issues. तो मुझे लगा था कि betrayal. तो मैं तो उस टाइम से ही थोड़ा सा sad ही हूँ.
उस मोमेंट पे देयर वाज अ क्लियर generation gap also.
Yeah, yeah.
The one moment that sticks to me is I was listening to a News Laundry podcast
Hmm.
during that time, and Madhu Trehan said,
Hmm.
she said it in public, so
Yeah, she
I
said
can
it in
claim. Yeah,
public. Yeah.
हाँ, she said कि जब ऐसा कुछ they were talking about some specific case, and she said जब ऐसा कुछ हुआ तो एक जोर का थप्पड़ नहीं लगा, and I was like, dude, do you not understand power dynamics at all? Like, तो
No,
that is.
also not just power dynamics. I don't know because मुझे ऐसा लगता है ना कि every woman in this world, every woman especially in our country has had some moment in which some assault has happened. Either you have normalized it in your brain, you think that it is normal to have something like that happen to you, or you have suppressed that memory. लेकिन हुआ ही हुआ है, हमेशा हुआ है. Alright? So मुझे ऐसा लगता है. So to not understand that something that when something like that happens, the first thing in your mind is survival. The first thing in your mind is survival, and whatever you do at that point of time is towards survival. And this whole idea of strong women, of how strong somebody, somebody fought her attackers off. She was very strong and she fought her attackers off. You think somebody who is not fighting her attackers off is not strong? It's the strength which is stopping. It's somebody's like physical strength or mental strength that lets sexual assault happen. It makes me extremely mad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Got it.
I think I
So so
interjected.
I so
I think I
so so
interjected
let's
what you were saying. Please go on. Yeah.
I'll pause here कि I know it's going into a cynical direction, तो या तो ये और ज़्यादा cynical हो रहा है, हो जाएगा, या कम हो जाएगा. I wrote and read extensively on the masculine anxiety that fuels the Hindutva movement.
Yeah. Okay.
So and it was, अच्छा पहले वो छोड़ो, equalist आस्था I did not know, so हाथ जोड़ के
Please
I
let her stop.
knew
Okay. I had to block
Deepika.
her from all my platforms because I'm like, मेरे को नहीं चाहिए ये नहीं चाहिए मैं फिर किसी दिन ऐसे because you know what,
So you can consume
unfortunately
Chavda but not her.
I don't want to be one of those people जो लोगों के साथ वीडियो स्टिच कर करके
Hmm.
उनका रिएक्शन लेके और हमारा
Hmm.
रिएक्शन लेके you want to like pit people against each other. ये मेरे से नहीं होएगा. मैं नहीं करूंगी. मुझे
One
अपना
tight slap from a liberal.
yes, tight slap.
Yes.
No, tight slap to feminist because
Tight slap to feminist, tight slap to
टाइट
Hindu
स्लैप टू
phobes,
फेमिनिस्ट
बहुत
वाला
सब कुछ है.
एंड्रू टेट वाले बहुत देखते हैं ये एंड्रू टेट
सबसे
वाले
ज्यादा
बहुत टाइट
टाइट
स्लैप
स्लैप
करते
मैंने वो है, जग्गी. Jaggi is the tighter slapper, the most.
नॉट जस्ट एंड्रू टेट एल्विश यादव वाले भी वो देखते हैं बहुत टाइट स्लैप टू फेमिनिस्ट वो देखते हैं बहुत ज्यादा
मैं जैसे एंड्रोइड कंज्यूम नहीं कर सकता, बहुत डिफिकल्ट है मेरे लिए,
ओ आई
बट जग्गी आई कैन, जग्गी वासुदेव आई कैन
जबकि
टू
वो
अ
तो
डिग्री.
हंसी आती है ना देखते ना वो कूल लगता है
हाँ,
धीरे धीरे
बट ही
सुनते रहो
हाँ बट ही हैज अ लॉट ऑफ टाइट स्लैप वीडियोस, एंड उसमें से एक भी टाइट स्लैप नहीं है, लेकिन ना वो ऐसी चीजें हैं
उसमें
जो
तो वैसे भी
मतलब.
वर्ड सैलेड होता है इट्स
हाँ.
लाइक आई रिमेम्बर द अदर डे अनुराग माइनस वर्मा had posted something
हम्म.
on his story and I was like कि ये तो इंसेप्शन हो गया या ऐसा कुछ हो गया something I had like related to that. And he's like this bro has proved that pollution is an oh yeah it was complete like धुआं धुआं दिवाली के एक दिन के बाद and this guy is driving on a Thar like top off और थार में वो ड्राइव कर रहा है बिंदास एकदम कोई बाल वाल उड़ रहे हैं एकदम मस्त एकदम और बैकग्राउंड उसी ने बंदे ने रील डाला था कि बैकग्राउंड में वो गाना चल रहा है एकदम गड्डी चिल्लानी वाली है ऐसे समथिंग समथिंग इन हरियाणवी ओके आई एम लाइक ब्रो दिस इज लाइक अनदर पोल्यूशन इज जस्ट अ डायमेंशन
हाँ, तो दो तीन चीजें जो आई लाइक, पहले तो जहां पे मैं जा रहा था, सो दिस इज नॉट न्यू. सो
या
आई व्हेन आई वाज डूइंग दिस रिसर्च ना, आई फाउंड कि even like if you go as far back as 1920s, Charu Gupta has written a great book called Sexuality, Obscenity, and something, and Women in Colonial India. Okay,
okay
I'll give you the name later. But so she talks about how in that book, even in 1920s, they were sharing pamphlets in the United Province back then, कि how Muslim men will abduct your daughters and marry them, blah blah blah. 1920s. उस around that time or slightly before that time, novels were written. एक famous मराठी novel है, शिवाजी व रोशनारा. It's a romantic novel about how Roshanara, who's Aurangzeb's daughter, fell in love with Shivaji and gave up everything of her father's all, like basically a Bollywood movie, and decided to stay with Shivaji, who was basically like at that point a warrior king, right? So this is not new. So if this gives you any solace कि मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि हम लोग एकदम exceptionally जगह पर नहीं है, चल रहा है. It's just, I mean, you so Deepika Bharadwaj is someone that I kind of
oh my god please
है ना, so वो I knew. But then think about your उमा भारती और साध्वी ऋतंभरा. I mean, अगर उस टाइम पे इंस्टाग्राम होता तो they would have been like influencers, no?
they would have been influencers big time influencers yeah all of them
तो
और बहुत अच्छे बहुत अच्छी खासी फॉलोइंग होती है उन लोगों की
तो अभी मतलब, so it's not kind of new is what I wanted
नया
to say.
नहीं है हाँ नया
हाँ.
नहीं है बट अभी जैसे वही ना अब नोटिस हम लोग ज्यादा कर रहे हैं क्योंकि अभी वीडियोस वगैरह के चक्कर में और इनफैक्ट आज मैंने एक वो भी देखा एक जाकिर खान का एक वीडियो है जिसमें ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट हाउ पहले के ज़माने में क्या होता था ना कि बेवकूफ़ लोग आपके मोहल्ले में होते थे और किसी एक दूसरे
हाँ।
मोहल्ले में बेवकूफ़ होता है। मतलब ही डज़न्ट यूज़ द वर्ड बेवकूफ़, ही यूज़ेज़
हुँ।
अनदर वर्ड। एंड ही इज़ लाइक कि नहीं, लेकिन बेवकूफ़ जो होता है वो सामने वाले मोहल्ले के समझदार आदमी को देख के बोलते हैं कि नहीं, नहीं यार चुप रहो, समझदार आदमी है, ठीक है? लेकिन फिर इंटरनेट का आविष्कार हो गया। तो ये बेवकूफ़ इंटरनेट का आविष्कार क्यों हुआ कि साउथ पोल में बैठा हुआ साइंटिस्ट यहाँ के वाले साइंटिस्ट से बात कर सकता है। लेकिन इंटरनेट में ये भी है कि इसका यहाँ का बेवकूफ़ वहाँ के बेवकूफ़ से बात कर सकता है। So the conversation between बेवकूफ्स has become so loud that अभी दिखना शुरू हो गया है। नहीं तो पहले था तो पहले भी ये दबी-दबी बातों
समटाइम्स
पे
इट्स
दबी-दबी बातें होती थी।
या समटाइम्स इट्स सो डिफिकल्ट ना, जैसे यू सेड अभी कि इफ एलिमनी इज अलाउड देन दहेज शुड बी अलाउड टू.
हुँ,
नाउ इफ आई हियर दैट इन लाइक द वाइल्ड, तो मेरे दिमाग में सबसे पहला जो नेक्स्ट थॉट आएगा वो ये आएगा कि लेकिन एलिमनी हैपेंस आफ्टर अ पीरियड ऑफ मैरिज,
हुँ,
एंड यूजुअली इन दिस मैरिज women is the caregiver,
हुँ,
and she has given up on her financial independence
हुँ,
to a degree to help you, and so that makes sense. जो भी,
हुँ,
my point is कि the second thought that you have is something that in your head will tell you कि भाई
sound
ये the first
logical.
statement is ridiculous,
Yeah.
right? या फिर जैसे दिवाली फटाके,
हुँ,
ancestor, पहली बार मतलब this is literally like the first year that I heard this neat thing, like ये नया हिंदुइज्म आया मेरे पास
एकदम
कि ऐसा.
एब्सोल्युटली।
हाँ, तो फिर मेरे दिमाग में थॉट, सबसे पहले थॉट ये आया कि पहली चीज तो व्हाट वर वी डूइंग बिफोर चाइना इन्वेंटेड फायर क्रैकर्स. चलो उस पे कोई ये बोल देगा कि नहीं, हम लोग दिए जलाते थे, दिए जला के रास्ता दिखाते थे, तो
हाँ,
रात मतलब जो भी था. बट द सेकंड थॉट इज कि which is something that maybe I should write a story on or something. I don't know. The second thought is कि imagine like हम जैसे लोग, कुछ लोग, we do not burst crackers, and now suddenly our ancestors are here with us who could not go back to heaven,
yeah.
and suddenly J. Sai Deepak finds out, one day he wakes up and he finds out कि outside his door is Jawaharlal Nehru, and he's like, bro,
ब्रो तूने
I am here, we need to talk. I mean, my like these are such ridiculous statements.
हाँ,
आए कैसे थे वो लोग?
हाँ।
नहीं नहीं, ऑनेस्टली मुझे नहीं पता.
नहीं और
अगर
दूसरी
अगर
बात नॉट जस्ट आए कैसे थे, दिन में क्यों नहीं जाते वापस?
हाँ, एक्चुअली
दिन में क्यों नहीं जाते वापस?
मे बी बिकॉज सन का लाइट बहुत ज्यादा रहता है, तो शायद वो दिखता नहीं है, थोड़ा ऊपर हाइट पे जाने के बाद रास्ता नहीं दिखता होगा. आई डोंट नो. दिन
Oh God. मेरा भी I don't know if you've seen my latest
हम्म,
Dugdarshan or not. In that one, I'm
हाँ
like
हाँ.
talking about. तो उसमें वो ना AQI वाला नहीं है कि पर फूफी ने सुन
हाँ
लिया and she's
हाँ.
like मैं नहीं जाऊंगी, अब मुझे वापस जाना है, मैं श्राद्ध का मुझे खाना नहीं ग्रहण करना है, and I'll just go. And sometimes
मैंने
I well, because I'm a linguist, I have to look
हम्म,
at the language in which the language which
हम्म,
these guys are using, and they always talk about quoting scriptures. इस पुराण
हम्म,
में ये लिखा है, इस पुराण में वो लिखा है, and so on and so forth. And then one of the phrases which I think he quotes, either Jaisai Deepak quotes or कोई दूसरा रील है जिसमें मैंने देखा उसमें लिखा हुआ है. They talk about ulka. Okay,
हम्म,
ulka is not a firecracker. Ulka is
हम्म,
a source of light. ठीक है?
या.
Which is and sometimes it's not a source of light. Sometimes it's something which reflects light, right? So to interpret Ulka as a firecracker is not just it does not it not just it not only exposes your ignorance, it also exposes your deliberate ignorance कि आप जानबूझ के इस चीज को इस तरह से इंटरप्रेट कर रहे हो so that it fits your narrative. आप अपना narrative में fit करने के लिए you're using you're interpreting the language in such a way. तो वो तो मुझे और fraudulent लगता है because being a linguist it becomes more offensive to me when you're using language in such a way. I'm like, excuse me, don't do whatever you want, say whatever झूठ जो आपके दिमाग में आता है, leave language out of it. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है. So I have
जो
that's why I have more qualms against
I
JSI.
saw that. I saw that episode by the way.
हाँ.
मैंने एक्चुअली उस पर ट्वीट, एपिसोड में, पर उस सब्जेक्ट में ट्वीट ये किया था कि यार मेरे दादाजी अब आ गए हैं और मैंने फायर क्रैक करने की है
ध्यान
तो,
नहीं
और अब लेकिन वो बोल रहा कि मत करना क्योंकि मुझे जाना नहीं, क्योंकि हेवन में जो है वो मन की बात का लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग नहीं होता है.
Yeah, I saw that.
ये
Yes,
है.
I
हाँ.
did. I did. There is no
और
Man Ki
दूसरी
Baat live
और
streaming.
दूसरी चीज
That was so
what if
good,
your
yeah. बहुत अच्छा
what
था.
if your ancestor is like Helen Keller?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
How will they go back?
How will
Like
they
how
go
much?
back?
But these guys are obviously वो क्या है grifters. They are obviously
Mhm,
grifters
mhm,
who are out there to make a quick buck. I feel, or get popularity. I mean,
mhm.
this guy, he wrote a whole book about how Bharat, India, that is Bharat has always been, uh, in some way, shape, or form, a Hindu country, and
Okay.
so and the philosophy and the idea of whatever democracy, and the guy completely forgot. I'm not even talking about the Mughals and all, but even in the like in the last millennia, like there were so many Buddhist and Jain kings. Now,
Yeah.
are you saying that all and literally अब वही बात है ना कि इनसे ये नहीं बोल सकते कि a Buddhist king was breaking temples and a Hindu king was like
Mm.
there were things that were happening, but वो उसके बारे में they will not go into. But
This
also
reminds
यार,
me, since we are talking
हम्म,
about temples, do you know of this guy called Praveen Mohan?
यार unfortunately I do. Unfortunately I do.
I was introduced to him via this amazing another creator called Vimo. Do you know
हाँ
Vimo?
हाँ, very
He
good
is so
friends.
brilliant,
So
right?
that is
He's
also
so,
how I know.
हाँ. Exactly. I also know of
Hmm.
Praveen Mohan via ये only Vimo only. मैं Vimo को भी मुझको ये complain करनी है that I really didn't have any requirement, any
Ooh,
need to know
that
of
guy.
Praveen Mohan. Why did you have to do this to me? But हाँ, वो भी हुआ है.
I really Vimo क्या जो like the capacity for him to accept bullshit is bhai
Oh my god,
sahab.
yes.
It's
So much. And he has even like live streams where these people come on
that's what I'm
live
saying.
streams.
And he debates them.
I
He
have
will
seen
debates any Raju Pappu Mannu सबको.
anyone और किसी मतलब और वो इतने शांति से इतने लॉजिकली उनको बताने की कोशिश करता है एंड आई एम लाइक हाउ डू यू हैव दिस काइंड मैं उसका लाइव स्ट्रीम देखते देखते फ्रस्ट्रेट हो जाती हूँ कि यार ये क्या सवाल पूछ रहा है लाइक जस्ट स्टॉप इट बट देन ही इज सो काम एंड सो कंपोज्ड लाइक हाउ वेयर डू यू गेट दिस वो
Yeah,
मुझे भी
just
थोड़ा सा
like
दो कहाँ से आता
just
है
like you like this episode, right? So way back in 2020 I did one episode with Vimo just like this. So
ओके
I think my theory on him is that I don't know if you know this, but before 2014 he was right of center, Vimo.
yeah he said that in
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of the streams that he
And
was doing
he used to write for a publication that
Paraj
was हाँ, नहीं स्वराज नहीं, आई थिंक
Suraj नहीं sorry
पायनियर या
Panchajanya
लोकनीति. नहीं पांचजन्य नहीं, पांचजन्य के लिए कुछ लिखता है जो फिर वो वापस नहीं आ सकता. You've gone. Once you've written for पांचजन्य, there is no way for that.
okay okay yeah
क्या
true, true.
ये
That's true.
चाइल्डहुड ट्रॉमा दे दिया पांचजन्य बोल के भाई. बट तो ना आई थिंक सो ही काइंड ऑफ understands maybe some of these people more than like someone else would.
Mhm.
I guess that's what gives him that sense of calm.
Patience.
But हाँ पेशेंस. बट यार नहीं, अभी इतना पोल्यूशन है,
हाँ.
इतना धुआं है. मेरा एंसेस्टर अगर मैं बम भी फोड़ रहा हूँ तो हाउ विल दे गो यार. मैं आई इट्स इम्पॉसिबल
The
आई थिंक.
ancestors दोबारा मर जाएंगे सेकंड डेथ होगा उनका दोबारा हो जाएगा अस्थमा हो गया बेटा इस बार नहीं आ सकते
एक तो ना यार
सारी आईसीयू में तुम्हारी दादी आईसीयू में है वहां से निकलेगी उसके बाद आएंगे अब नहीं आ
और
सकते
and then there is a tradition in Hinduism, right, where if someone passes that year there's no festival that is
हाँ
celebrated.
कुछ नहीं होता we
तो उस
had
साल वो
somebody
आते हैं कि नहीं
something
आते
like
हैं?
that in the family this year
Oh, I'm sorry, but not to be like not to kind of make fun of that situation, but like उस साल नहीं आते क्या फिर ancestors वापस मिलने,
नहीं आते उस
या रुक जाते एक
ये
साल
वो रुक जाते
रुक के
यही रहते
जाएंगे.
हैं आसपास रहते हैं
this is this is like the problem
I'm
is कि
sorry
when you
Dadaji if you're listening I'm very sorry
and this guy has used this line of argument in court. Like he was the
yeah
lawyer for the Shabarimala that case, right? And
Mm.
he used this line of argument, and I'm like, to do that in like a video YouTube stream or whatever is fine, but the moment this becomes legitimate in a like legal argument, मतलब फिर बचा ही क्या है?
फिर तो हम अभी जुडिशरी पे ही चले जाएंगे ना, अभी जुडिशरी पे भी बात हो जाए फिर कि क्या हो रखा है, क्या हाल हो रखा है जुडिशरी का। क्या
सा-
कहते हैं, मेंटल जिम्नास्टिक्स और क्या कहते हैं वर्बल जिम्नास्टिक्स आप कर लेते हो, लेकिन आपको जजमेंट वही देना होता है जो मेन स्ट्रीम और सो कॉल्ड गवर्नमेंट सैंक्शनड एंड गवर्नमेंट ये हो। तो
इट्स
यार ये सब कुछ तो हो ही
वो
रहा है
तो इंस्टीट्यूशनल प्रॉब्लम है.
इंस्टीट्यूशनल।
द वन थिंग दैट दिस इज हैपन, सो एंड दिस इज अगेन अ वेरी सिनिकल पॉइंट दैट आई एम
इट्स ओके
टेकिंग
हम
दिस
लोग
टू.
आज सिनिक्स की आज बैठ की लगी है। बहुत कम होता है जब जब दो सिनिक मिल पाते हैं, क्योंकि यूजुअली जब मैं ज्यादा सिनिकल हो जाती हूँ मुझे कोई बोलने वाला होता है नहीं नहीं हिम्मत मत हारो, ये नहीं होता है वो नहीं होता है, लेकिन इट्स लाइक इट्स अ म्यूचुअल प्लेजर व्हिच आई एम हैविंग विथ यू सिटिंग विथ यू, चलो कोई तो है जिस जो मेरी तरह ही है सिनिकल, जिसको लगता है ना कुछ नहीं हो सकता इस देश का,
Actually, I
कुछ नहीं
feel
हो सकता ये
even
आगे औरतों
more.
का, कुछ नहीं
I
हो सकता
actually
है आगे
feel
मर्दों का, ये
even
आगे
more.
कोर्ट का इस देश का। हाँ
क्या
सॉरी
बोलते
सॉरी गो
हैं?
ऑन।
No, no, I'm saying I perhaps sometimes I feel more cynical than someone who's actually living in India.
अच्छा।
Because if you're living in India, you don't have an option but to have some hope because you're there, right? Uh,
हाँ।
I have, and I'll tell you like offline also. Like I've talked to a few people, really good, nice people. You know them. Um, I mean, Meghnad, for example, जिसका
ओके
नाम ले
या
सकता हूँ. And no matter how much you kind of goad them, वो there is some like they will present some hope. मुझे क्या लगता है कि from a distance ना मैं ना I am watching the frog in the water boiling,
Mhm,
and the
mhm, mhm,
temperature is slowly increasing, and the
mhm,
frog is not realizing that the
mhm,
temperature is
mhm. Also,
increasing.
I think you stand at a distance where you cannot literally pick up the frog and get it out of the water as
हाँ
well. है
हाँ
ना? So there is this
and
sense
at
of
this
not
point,
being able to do something. Uh,
but
I'm
who do you
guessing.
go
I'm
to?
guessing.
Who do you go to? Let's say you want to do that there. Like I'm again like look at Umar, right? I
Mm.
mean, that's literally like one of the most public human rights violation that you see happening
In front
um,
of us. In
in
front of us.
front of us.
Yes, yes.
फिर वो
Even
तो चलो
Sanjeev
एक
Bhatt, Sanjeev
अरे
Bhatt, Umar.
imagine, yeah,
Mm,
exactly. If and this is chalo like not talking of individual cases, but one of the legacy of these 10 years and however long they stay is that whatever institutional integrity we had in India
mm,
will be
mm.
completely done to dust.
Gone.
You talked
Yeah.
about judiciary, you look at the police.
ईडी वीडी तो सब
uh,
गए, ईडी सीबीआई सब
हाँ,
कुछ।
ईडी, योर इलेक्शन कमीशन, ये
इलेक्शन
सब भी
कमीशन,
कुछ भी
यस।
नहीं है. And this is the way kind of, and ultimately what will happen is that even people like us will realize that we have no structural like integrity left. So we will also, even if let's say a person comes to power who's more like attuned to what we want, okay, we will want them to be authoritarian for us, but we will, because now we know that there is no institutional power left. So if they have to get something done, they'll have to do it via like authoritarian mechanisms.
Also,
और वो मुझे सबसे ज्यादा बुरा लगता है.
what I am scared of, and this has happened,
हम्म,
abhi jaise the entire Congress campaign in
हम्म.
Madhya Pradesh, Kamal Nath and is hobnobbing with the Baba guy. What is his name?
अरे
क्या नाम है?
बागेश्वर यार,
Bageshwar
बागेश्वर.
Dhamala Baba and everything. And then
हाउ इज दैट गाय पॉपुलर भाई? ही
I don't
लाइक
know.
मेरे को मिल जाए तो मैं मतलब.
I swear, man, and all of that is when that happened. So at that point of time, I was thinking, ki even if right now we are putting our hopes against the
Mhm.
particular the current regime with us with somebody, but then they're also realizing that this system which the current regime has adopted works. It works. The fear works. The corruption, it works. It's just that it's not right now working in your favor because you are not the one pulling the strings. If you are pulling the strings, what is stopping you from doing the same thing, adopting the same formula that these guys have been doing? Because you have seen that it has worked for the past 10 years. आप देख रहे हो कि यही से यही डर का माहौल यही intimidation, it's working.
And I know
And
at this point.
because of this reason you are not doing, in the states where you do have power, you have chosen to not do anything against the populist narrative. आपने नहीं किया. You did not talk about Bilkis Bano. You did not do anything when Nasir and Junaid were murdered, were lynched. You did not give them any justice. You did not. पैसा देने से सिर्फ नहीं हो जाता ना कि you have given them compensation and that is enough. No, the message needs to go out to the majority of the people, to all the minority who are feeling, anybody in the minority who is feeling persecuted, who is feeling scared कि नहीं देखो इस तरीके का एक ऑप्शन तुम्हारे पास है. But now that you know that this model works, this model of fear works, what is stopping you? मुझे इस बात का डर लगता है कि what is stopping them from replicating the thingy? Because if you can see the IT cell, the way the
Mhm.
IT cell works, the way the IT cell works for right wing. This one time, exactly during the
Mhm.
Nasir and Junaid episode, I had spoken against the Gehlot Sarkar, and
Mhm.
either made a video
Mhm.
or I know I did a tweet, and the entire IT cell was the Congress IT cell started tweeting against me, and they were quote tweeting that particular thing कि देखो इनके इस इनकी वीडियोस हमारे कांग्रेस के बड़े बड़े नेता शेयर करते हैं और ये इस तरीके की बातें कर रही हैं, as if I'm supposed to shut up because you are sharing my videos. I don't want you to share my videos. I never asked you to share my videos. It doesn't mean that I will not say something when there is an actual injustice happening. तो उस तरीके का चीज तो आईटी सेल भी वही चीज रेप्लिकेट कर रही है ना. दे आर द वंस हु आर कमिंग इन hordes and attacking somebody if somebody is not saying um, something which is in their line. तो मुझे इस बात का बहुत डर लगता है कि what is stopping them? कौन कौन रोकेगा आगे? And the thing that
So
you said also.
at this point someone listening will tell you or मतलब will say कि अरे ऐसा like when UPA was in power, Chidambaram as a home minister did green hunt, and so they did their things, which is true, and which I agree that they did a lot of things, especially in places like Chhattisgarh and all, which were not right from the human rights point of view. पर पता है डिफरेंस ये था ना कि तब भी जेएनयू में आप काले झंडे लेके खड़े हो सकते थे और प्राइम
खड़े हो
मिनिस्टर
सकते
आता
हैं.
था. ठीक
Yes.
है. Now I will kind of ask you one question, maybe a little like trying to end on some hope. I feel, and you correct me, I feel that however things have gone in the last few years, at least one man, who is Rahul Gandhi, has learned, or at least has understood that if you have to make things work, you'll probably have to give up on this kind of authoritarian style of doing things, at least at like a central level. Now we can talk about his chief ministers and his ex chief ministers and how they do not do the same kind of things, but they're also from that generation. This
Mm,
is what I feel that it has been, probably has been, a learning curve for him these
mm,
last few years, and maybe शायद उस वजह से अगर कभी future में he gets to be
mm,
at the helm,
mm.
maybe we will not see that kind of UPA stuff that happened some of the things that happened in like 2010s.
I really do hope so. And personally speaking, I also um, really appreciate the way he has shown the ability to, um, keep an open mind and keep learning. And मुझे लगता है कि हाँ डेफिनेटली उन्होंने ही हैज उनका पर्सनालिटी में भी चेंज आया है, चीजों में भी चेंज आया है, and the way he has conducted himself during the yatra itself, and speaking to people and connecting with people in on a different level, ये सारी चीजें सही है. But again, if we also are to pin our hopes on one man,
Hmm.
I just really don't want it to be a repetition of Narendra Modi, because the same thing, the entire country, the 33.7% people who voted for him at one point of time, it was the Modi wave. It's still, people still talk about the Modi wave and how he is the one who is taking, and it doesn't matter how कि लोग नीचे क्या कर रहे हैं, नीचे के लेवल के लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, कार्यकर्ता लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, लिंचिंग कर रहे हैं, कहीं किसी को मार रहे हैं. मोदी जी जो है वो सही कर रहे हैं, मोदी जी देश के लिए वो कर रहे हैं. So I think it has to be not just an individual who we are looking at. Definitely he has done a lot of personal growth, but I think that has to reflect across the party, like towards the lower levels as well. क्योंकि otherwise, क्योंकि जो जनता से connected होता है ना, वो राहुल गांधी जनता से connected नहीं है। कार्यकर्ता जनता से कनेक्ट होगा होगा और उस कार्यकर्ता में अगर उस तरीके की चीज, उस तरीके का एक बिलीफ, उस तरीके की अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं आएगी जो राहुल गांधी रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहे हैं, तो वो मेजर चेंज एक ग्राउंड लेवल पे, वो मेजर चेंज आना थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है। बट अगेन लाइक यू सेड, इट इज होपफुल, आई एम होपफुल, बिकॉज कुछ नहीं से तो कुछ थोड़ा बेहतर ही है। तो एटलीस्ट फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर, आई डोंट, व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट 2024 दो? 24 में क्या लग रहा है तुमको? हमको
आई
तो,
डोंट
मुझको
थिंक
तो मतलब कोई उम्मीद भर
मुझे
नहीं आती है।
बहुत, हाँ, कोई सूरत नजर नहीं
कोई सूरत नहीं
आता।
नजर आती।
My best hope for 24
हाँ।
is that, well, I don't see how BJP will not still be the single largest party. They
Mhm.
will be, but my hope is that they don't get to 272. My
Okay.
hope is that they have to
Maybe even, हाँ,
really reach out at, ये मेरा 2019 में भी hope था, by the way, but they really have to reach out to alliances to form government. And then if you remember the early 2000s and how the like the three leading ladies of Indian politics, Jayalalitha, Mayawati and Mamta Didi, really held Vajpayee government like by the scruff of their neck,
yes,
and
they
kind of,
did.
because you have, because this person Modi has never been in opposition in ever in his life, has
Yeah.
never had to manage an alliance where he needed to really like ask for things.
Negotiate.
He's never had to
Yeah.
do that.
Mm.
So that will be interesting to see how that pans out if that happens. That's the best kind of, that
Best
the
hope.
most hopeful that I can.
Even I think that's something that I will also agree with. हाँ, कि होप करते कि 272 तक ना पहुंचे, because if there is an
पर
alliance, if
इनके
there is a threat, then they're going to be in line. Otherwise,
पर
the kind
प्रॉब्लम
of
पता है
Charan
क्या है?
Samban that I have
हाँ,
seen, no,
हम्म,
in these 10 years, bro, man, मतलब मुझको तो
हम्म।
ऐसा लगता है कि यार क्या करूं यार, मतलब।
प्रॉब्लम पर, लेकिन पता है क्या है ना इनके साथ प्रॉब्लम है कि अगर ये 250 भी आते हैं ना,
हम्म,
तो ना दे हैव
खरीद
वीकेंड द
लेंगे,
इंस्टीट्यूशन सो मच कि ये 22 तो ले ही लेंगे, कहीं से भी खरीद
खरीद लेंगे,
लेंगे।
हाँ, आराम से
तो
खरीद।
इनको अगर आपको रोकना है तो यू हैव टू इमेजिन देम टू बी लेस देन 230, व्हिच इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट। लाइक 80 तो यूपी में सीट है नाउ।
हाँ,
इफ एंड आई डोंट सी लाइक that's a different subject, but I see it, I find it very difficult to see how BJP will not again get at least 65 there. And if you get 65
in
there,
यूपी,
you're
हाँ, आराम
very
से,
very
क्योंकि
well placed.
अभी ऑल्सो ब्रेस योर सेल्फ, अभी तो काफी कंटेंट आने वाला है, बिकॉज उत्तर प्रदेश जस्ट टुडे इट हैज बैंड ऑल हलाल
अरे
सर्टिफिकेशन।
भाई, I saw, I just, the first news that I saw as I got
तो
up,
यार ब्रेस योर
uh,
सेल्फ, अभी आ रहा है।
so like what does that mean? What does that mean is my question. How will you, anyway, we because how will you
I
impose
like
this
how,
as
I like how you have how you begin a thought and you just give up on it,
जाने दो,
like अब
जाने दो।
छोड़ो यार, नहीं हो सकता।
Like how will you impose it is something I
You're
think.
mirroring my mental situation right now. सोचते हैं यार ये क्या हो रहा है, then छोड़ो यार।
The one thing that I will tell you about 2024 elections, that I will tell you क्या मतलब, that is like, um, in 2019 and in 2014 there were 192 Lok Sabha seats
Mhm,
where it was a direct fight between BJP and Congress.
mhm.
ठीक है? And in those 192 seats, BJP's hit rate was 85%.
Okay.
ठीक है?
Mhm.
If you remove that, then the other seats where BJP was in fighting with a regional party, their hit rate in 2019, in fact, was like 36%.
Okay.
But so what I mean is that if we imagine 2024 to be different, then what we have to imagine is for Congress to do at least 20% better than how they did the last time.
Yeah.
Because essentially, what BJP is doing is they are basically completely like taking out Congress, and that's how they are putting up these numbers. अब वो कैसे होगा?
And it's not just Congress, they're taking out all the small regional parties also, na? Regional parties को भी
हाँ,
तो almost खत्म ही, असम में we had Assam Gana Parishad,
हाँ,
we had other small parties, and all these parties, Assam Gana Parishad was the biggest. We had a chief minister from Assam Gana Parishad before Congress came.
मोहनतो दा,
Mohanto, Prafullo Kumar Mohanto, and then it's nowhere. He is nowhere. The party is nowhere anymore. There's no standing of Assam Gana Parishad. My district, my small town, our MP has always been AGP. This is the first time we have a BJP MP from in my own town. So we already always had AGP. So they have, like, obliterated these small regional parties, छोटा छोटा करके, so that it's all
Yeah.
like one nation, one party. So yeah, they have worked very clinically. They have worked very I one day sometimes, want to write a piece, either it will be Doordarshan, or sometimes if I have the
Hmm.
uh, team, etc., I want to create like a trailer kind of a thing, but for an Avengers movie. But it's India, and Hydra is RSS is Hydra. So the way RSS has penetrated throughout the country, in small, big and small offices, and big and small associations, and big and small universities and colleges and everywhere, it's exactly like Hydra. They start at the base, and then they grow up and become vice chancellors, and
Because
become chancellors, and become
everything
directors,
is nationalized
colleges,
now.
everything.
So, and that is why you don't see regional parties doing well, because everything is so nationalized that.
Yes.
So anyway, let's wrap on this note, because
Okay,
if
for
we
the listeners, there was this very sad, morose head shake that our host just did, and I felt that head shake through the screen.
it's see the thing, the beauty of India as a country for me has always been this idea that we are so different in terms of community
Mhm.
diversity, ethnicity, and like Europe, but we still choose to be together as
Yeah.
one country.
Mm,
And the saddest thing of the last 10 years is that that diversity has slowly been kind of ripped apart.
mm,
Um, the diversity of thought has slowly been ripped apart.
mm,
And every time that comparison is made to Pakistan. And the
mm.
point is ki at some in 1947 you chose not to be a Hindu Pakistan, right? And isn't that a more beautiful and a grander idea? But khair chodo abhi, jane do.
Again.
Uh,
your
these days
your
in
podcasts, anybody like people who are regular listeners of your podcast will be like, क्या यार आज इतना sad
आज
बना
हाँ
दिया,
सैड
रोज
हो
इतना
गया
कॉमेडी होता है, इतना फन
हाँ
होता है, आज इतना sad हो गया.
सैड नहीं है, रियलिटी है, सैड
रियलिस्टिक
नहीं है
है,
ब्रो ये
रियलिस्टिक है.
चलो ऑन दैट
सटायर
नोट
का
आई विल
काम
रैप
ही यही
अप।
होता है ना, सटायर में रियलिज्म से आप
कैसे
ट्रेजेडी
करोगे
इतनी
सटायर?
ज्यादा हो जाती है कि
अभी अगर
कॉमेडी लगने लग जाता
अभी
है.
अगर दीदी एमपी में बोल रहे हैं कि नासा में संस्कृत में कोडिंग होती है, तो फिर मैं क्या जोक मारूंगा उस पर? उसके बाद तो कोई जोक नहीं है
Oh
ना।
my, हो रही है, तुम्हें क्या पता, इंजीनियर्स करेंगे, सब सीखे.
सब
The
सब
other
सीखेंगे।
one, not the tall one, the other one who is in the front, and she's like, सब सीखेंगे, देखते रहना, सब सीखेंगे. The kind of pride and the kind of, तुझे तो देख लूंगा टाइप से, तू तू तो संस्कृति सीखेगा, तुझे क्या पता है, इस टाइप से. I'm like, bro, even you don't know Sanskrit. What's going on? तुम्हें भी नहीं पता है. ये
I
तुमको
saw you
तुम
did
गुजराती बोलती हो.
you
What are you
did
saying?
gamam agamam in your latest you know
या
that's the
15
most Sanskrit
तारीखम.
that I can do. हाँ 15
15
तारीखम, yes
तारीखम.
yes yes yes
15 कार्तिकम मासम के 15 तारीखम तक.
तारीखम, हाँ तारीखम।
तारीख है नाम, तारीख का मतलब
वाह,
कि वो
तारीखम हाँ।
क्या लिखूं, खुद ही आ जाता है. एंड दिस होल इंसिस्टेंस ऑन द ये ना क्या कहते हैं, यूजिंग the moment you start using Sanskrit, it sounds like nicer. And yeah, even in the Nitish Kumar wala video, when I used
Hmm.
when I translated that into Hindi, and because it's like the language, the vernacular language में जो शब्द हैं, वो आपको it will seem like abuse to you. It will seem like gali to you. But then the words which are there, they are tatsamized. Tatsamized, like you are directly picking it up from Sanskrit, and then you are using it in your language. So Shoaib Daniel is there. Shoaib Daniel, a brilliant person. He talked about how he talked about how language does not have this space in a series of tweets, and then he embedded my tweet there and said कि somebody actually tatsamized these words. तो वही वही बात है, आप संस्कृत में वही चीज बोलोगे तो बहुत बढ़िया लगेगा आपको सुनने में, लेकिन आप ओरिजिनल अपनी भाषा में बोलोगे, जो एक दूसरे से बात करते हो उस भाषा में बोलोगे, तो आपको लगेगा कि नहीं ये तो गाली दे रहा है टाइप। तो दैट इज देयर, सो इसीलिए हम करते हैं सटायर अपनी अपनी भाषा में तत्समाइज करके संस्कृत में, संस्कृत डाल के इधर उधर, सो दैट इतना बुरा ना लगे लोगों को।
हाँ, ऑन दैट नोट, जय श्री मार्क्सल्ला।
मेरे साथी यूट्यूबर्स, आज एक फेलो यूट्यूबर के तौर पर आपके बीच आकर मुझे बेहद खुशी हो रही है। मैं भी आपके जैसा ही हूं, अलग थोड़ा हूं। 15 वर्षों से मैं भी एक यूट्यूब चैनल के जरिए देश और दुनिया के साथ कनेक्टेड रहता हूं। मेरे पास भी बहुत सारे सब्सक्राइबर्स और उनका एक डिशन नंबर है। चलिए, मुझे आप सभी से बात करके बहुत अच्छा लगा। मेरा ये चैनल सब्सक्राइब करें और मेरे हर अपडेट आपको मिले, इसके लिए बेल आइकन जरूर दबाइएगा। आप सभी को मेरी ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं।
क्या नाम बताया?
भूपेंद्र जोगी।
यूएस में कहाँ कहाँ गए हैं आप?
यूएस में बहुत जगह गया हुआ हूँ मैं।
नाम बताइए।
भूपेंद्र जोगी।
Long years ago, we made a trip with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge.
8 नवंबर 2016 की रात्रि को 12 बजे से
चीफ मिनिस्टर के लिए मेरा एक ही संदेश है कि वो राज धर्म का पालन करें।
हार्डवेयर वालों की सोच क्या होती है, हार्ड वर्क वालों की सोच क्या होती है।
अरे ये ना पंजाब की खुशबू।